Introducing the Occupier Starter Pack. Because apparently, all you need to claim someone else's island is confidence and a military budget. Let's take a look at what's inside. First up, instant sovereignty spray. Just mist lightly over any territory you don't own. Watch as international law dissolves on contact. Smells like gaslighting and sea salt. Perfect for when your homeland just isn't big enough for your ego. Next, say hello to our Not an Invasion rebrand stickers. Label anything you want. Invasion equals peace, operation. Occupation equals two-state solution. Colonization equals protection mission. Choose from 3 premium finishes. Denial gloss, propaganda matte, and strategic ambiguity sparkle. Guaranteed to confuse the international community for at least 50 years. Moving on. Settler Shuffle travel vouchers. Redeemable for 1 free relocation of mainland citizens to any land you definitely didn't take by force. Bonus points if you call it historic entitlement. Even more points if the locals don't agree. Now, for the handyman in all of us, the Buffer Zone Blueprint Kit. Everything you need to carve up an island like you're slicing a birthday cake. Comes with a complimentary UN peacekeeper figurine, who stands there doing absolutely nothing. Except looking stressed. Assembly required, morality not included. The Occupier Starter Pack. Because apparently, all you need to claim someone else's island is confidence.
EUD annexation, smell irresistible, seize territory. Introducing EUD annexation, the bold, long-lasting fragrance for anyone who thinks international borders are suggestions. Crafted with forbidden notes, questionable ethics, and undertones of go ahead and try to stop me, this perfume empowers you to walk into any room or sovereign island like it already belongs to you. Designed for the modern occupier who enjoys on unilateral action, historical revisionism, long walks across other people's land, freshly printed propaganda, sun-kissed coastline you definitely don't own, a breeze of strategic necessity, smoked ceasefire agreements, soft undertones of demographic engineering, a sweet whisper of two-state solution, trust me, lingering international condemnation, settler mosque, unauthorized military presence, warm, earthy, persistent, long-lasting. Like decades long-lasting, you spray once and boom, nobody can get you out. Seductive, defiant, uninvited, the scent of a power that says, I came, I saw, I stayed, and now it's a fait accompli. A crystal bottle shaped like a disputed map border. The cap, a tiny steel helmet. The atomizer, a miniature gas pipeline. Each bottle comes wrapped in caution tape that reads, fragrance may violate international law. AU, the annexation. Because why just visit a place when you can keep it?
Cyprus is one of those places the world pretends to understand but never actually sits down to confront. It's the kind of geopolitical wound that everyone keeps plastering over with the same tired cliches: complex conflict, historic grievances, 2 communities, frozen division, delicate negotiations. All of that sounds intelligent until you remember the part nobody likes to say plainly. Turkey invaded Cyprus in 1974 and has occupied the northern part of the island ever since. Everything else, the negotiations, the peace plans, the UN missions, the diplomatic choreography, is built on top of that simple, immovable fact. Now Turkey is back again in 2025, loudly announcing that a 2-state solution is the only realistic option for Cyprus, which basically translates to, we took the land, we're staying on it, and we'd like you all to politely recognize it now. Not on my watch, not in my voice, not with this platform. This is about history, context, and then the truth, unfiltered. The backstory, a whole island caught in other people's ambitions. Cyprus has always been desirable, an island at the crossroads of Europe, Asia, and the Middle East, too strategic for its own good. Every empire wanted it: Phoenicians, Assyrians, Venetians, Ottomans, British, and every time the island changed hands, people paid a price. Colonial rearrangements. By the late 19th century, Cyprus had shifted from Ottoman rule to British control, and under Britain, Greek Cypriots, the majority, increasingly pushed for enosis, union with Greece. Turkish Cypriots opposed this, fearing that becoming a minority inside a Greek-dominated state would erase their rights. Intercommunal tensions simmered, British divide and rule didn't help. Greek Cypriot nationalist groups rose up, Turkish Cypriot militias responded. Violence spiraled, dreams of independence were born out of necessity, not harmony. The 1960 Republic. Cyprus finally became independent in 1960 under a complex constitution designed to protect both communities, a Greek Cypriot president, a Turkish Cypriot vice president, ethnic quotas for government posts, veto mechanisms, basically a constitutional Jenga tower. And just like Jenga, it collapsed. By 1963-64, intercommunal violence erupted again. Turkish Cypriots withdrew from government positions. Greek Cypriots claimed Turkish Cypriots left voluntarily. Turkish Cypriots argued they were pushed out by hostility and fear. The island broke into enclaves. The United Nations sent peacekeepers. But peacekeeping is a bandage, not a cure. 1974, the earthquake year. Then came the moment that defines everything that followed. A coup in Cyprus, engineered by extremist Greek Cypriot nationalists aligned with the Greek military junta, attempted to overthrow the lawful president and force union with Greece. Turkey used this as justification to intervene militarily, citing its role as a guarantor power under the 1960 constitution. Except it didn't intervene. It invaded. Massive troop landings, airstrikes, tanks, thousands displaced, villages emptied, families divided overnight, a ceasefire line carved into the island. And instead of stopping at securing safety for Turkish Cypriots, Turkey launched a second wave of attacks, taking over a full one-third of Cyprus, far beyond anything needed to protect anyone. This is the part modern narratives always try to soften with diplomatic fluff, but I'm not here for that. The second wave of the operation was not defense, it was expansion, it was seizure. It was the beginning of what the world still politely calls the occupation, even though the truth is harsher. It was colonization. The aftermath, an island split, and a reality frozen in time. Displacement. Around 200,000 Greek Cypriots were forced from their homes in the north. Many never returned. Entire towns were emptied and repopulated with new settlers. Property was redistributed. Lives were torn apart so violently that the trauma still radiates through families today. Missing persons, both Greek and Turkish Cypriot families still search for answers about loved ones who vanished in 1974. Some bodies have been identified in mass graves. Others remain unknown. Declaration of a new state. In 1983, the northern part of Cyprus declared itself the Turkish Republic of Northern Cyprus, recognized by one country, Turkey. No one else accepted it. No UN member other than Turkey acknowledges it, because everyone knows what recognition would mean, legitimizing an occupation. Settlement policies. Turkey began relocating thousands of mainland Turkish citizens into the occupied north. New demographics, new towns, new people. A forced transformation of the island's cultural landscape. If another country did this today, we'd call it what it is: population transfer, colonization, demographic engineering, the endless negotiations. Since 1974, the world has been trying to solve Cyprus with an enthusiasm that always collapses when Turkey refuses to budge. UN peace plans, bicommunal talks, bizonal federal proposals, international conferences, constant handshakes, constant photo ops. But here's the truth. You cannot negotiate freedom with someone holding your house keys and sitting on your sofa with military boots on. Cyprus cannot be resolved while Turkish troops remain. Cyprus cannot be whole while 40,000 Turkish soldiers and decades of settlers sit in the north. Cyprus cannot be at peace until the root of the problem ends, the occupation itself. 2025. Turkey pushes its latest angle. 2 states. Now Turkey has rebranded its demands. They're not pretending anymore. They're not talking federal solutions or coexistence. They're not even sugarcoating it with hopeful language. They've decided the most realistic option is that Cyprus must formally become 2 states, permanently divided. Let's translate that. We invaded, we stayed, and now we want the world to rubber stamp it. This is the diplomatic version of breaking into someone's house, moving your furniture in, living there for 50 years, and then politely announcing that the living room is now your sovereign territory. A 2-state solution is not a solution. It's a trophy handed to the aggressor. Let's stop dancing around it. Turkey invaded Cyprus, Turkey occupies Cyprus, Turkey colonized Cyprus. Everything else is commentary. Turkey can dress it up with fancy diplomatic language, but the reality is simple. The land they're sitting on is not theirs. It belongs to the Republic of Cyprus. No amount of pragmatism or realism is going to rewrite that. And so here's my stance. Raw, unfiltered. Turkey needs to leave. Not negotiate departure, not phase departure, not offer a timeline. Leave. Turkish settlers should return to Turkey. Yes, many have lived there for decades, but their presence was part of a strategic colonization program. Cyprus didn't choose this demographic shift. It was imposed by force. The occupied territory should be restored to its lawful owners. If you seize property during a war and then hold it for half a century, the theft doesn't become legitimate by virtue of time passing. Cyprus is not 2 states. It's 1 state that's been violently carved into 2 pieces. A 2-state solution rewards aggression. It teaches the world's bullies that if you invade and wait long enough, the world will shrug and say, fine, keep it. That's not diplomacy. That's capitulation. Addressing the counter-arguments. Some will say, but Turkish Cypriots need security. Security comes from rights and equality, not being shielded by a foreign army occupying half the island. Others claim the communities have grown apart. Of course they have, because a border was slammed between them and reinforced by foreign troops. Division isn't destiny, it's policy. Some insist it's too late to fix it. Too late for who? Justice does not expire because time has passed. If an occupation becomes legal by waiting, then any nation could seize anything and just sit on it until the world no longer cares. And the final defense, both sides suffered. True, but suffering isn't a moral eraser. The fact that civilians were harmed on both sides does not cancel out the reality of invasion and takeover. What a real solution looks like. If the world genuinely wanted to solve Cyprus rather than manage the embarrassment of it, the path would be straightforward. Withdrawal of Turkish troops, all of them, no exceptions. Return or compensation for displaced people. Actual justice, not promises. A unified Republic of Cyprus with equal rights and constitutional protections for Greek Cypriots and Turkish Cypriots alike. Removal of foreign settlers brought in as part of demographic engineering. Full demilitarisation of the island, making it a zone of peace, not a battlefield waiting room. International guarantees for minority rights that don't depend on a foreign army. That is what honouring Cypriot sovereignty looks like. Not slicing the island into artificial states because an occupier demands recognition. Cyprus is not a negotiation problem, it's not a diplomatic puzzle, it's not a cultural riddle, it's an occupation problem. An occupation ends only one way, the occupier leaves. Turkey can campaign for 2 states all it wants, but the reality remains unchanged. The north of Cyprus is not Turkish homeland, it's Cypriot land under Turkish control. So yes, I will say it loudly, they need to leave and go back to where they came from. Turkey, their actual homeland. Cyprus deserves reunification. Cyprus deserves justice. Cyprus deserves peace built on truth, not on the leftovers of a 1974 invasion. Not left, not right, just real.